LeiLani Cauthen, CEO of News Media at Learning Counsel, and I am here with Claire Williams McGee. Did I say that right? I'm so proud of myself because I've been screwing up names all day. District lead STEAM coach,
yes.
Metro Nashville Public Schools. So when we say STEAM, that's newer than STEM.
Is it though?
I know.
So
Go ahead.
the way we look at it is the arts have always been present in STEM, but we never had the opportunity to really highlight them, draw attention to them.
Yeah.
Because everyone focused on an acronym instead of an instructional approach.
Yeah.
And arts here in Nashville is not throw some glitter on it and get out the crayons. It's the humanities, it's ethics, it's philosophy, it's all of these things, and it interweaves the other four by combining them into an instructional approach. So without having that overarching thing, that overarching ethics and those humanities and those philosophies, we can't pull everything together.
Yes, I totally agree. And you know what I really, really like about it right now is you said the word philosophy in there, and I believe, you know, we're headed in the direction of AI, which I think is very... I think a lot of districts have weighed in on it. They're like ankle deep in it, right? Like generative AI is just ankle deep in the AI world. It's the consumer front end to a whole bunch of other forms and things that AI is doing that people are not really aware of. And the need to now take school attention and focus it on what is a human, what are you, is massive, and we're very deficient in the humanities.
Oh yes.
Are you feeling that when you look at what's going on in your schools? Are you feeling like, some of these kids are coming as like little barbarians and they need help, they need to understand?
They don't have a social emotional boundary. They've not been taught what a feeling is. They've not been directly taught empathy. We just assume that we have little children and they're going to automatically pick these things up, but we have to directly teach them everything else. We have to directly teach them empathy and how to be humans. And the focus of education should be how to be a human first and then everything else second, but we put everything else first, so they wind up going to high school not knowing how to even define their own humanity.
Yeah, it's a very interesting time. I hearken back to, and I'm sorry, I'm going to take us totally off the weird, down weird roads, but I hearken back to what it was like when I was young, growing up in the 70s and 80s. We got to just roam free.
Oh, yes.
Right, we got to take bikes and jump ramps and fall down and take whole swaths of skin off our knees.
And when someone wanted you home, they whistled?
Or yelled. Like, we had sonic hearing. Our mom was like 5 miles away, and we were like, I think that's your mom, it's time for lunch. And then we would all like run over there. But, I mean, literally, there was a lot of rough and tumble.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of getting hurt, stepping on nails or things done construction sites. You know, it's like there was a lot of like actual force and violence that went on. Not mean.
No, but it just happens.
It just, all this stuff happened. And I think it gave us a chance to learn by doing in a different way. Like right now we have kids like sheltered and don't go outside the house. Somebody will steal you. And there's a lot of like non-exposure. Like we had playgrounds you could literally get hurt on.
Oh, yeah, those great big spinny things.
Yes.
You just hold on with like one or two hands, and if you actually fell off, you'd probably break a leg.
Yeah,
I love those.
Yeah, I love that. And monkey bars.
Oh, yeah.
And slides that were made out of metal.
And they never had the rubber mats underneath.
No metal mat, just gravel. Like you could seriously hurt yourself. Yeah, so I'm saying that because I believe the universe is a universe of force balanced with intelligence. Okay? And if you have a little bit of force in your life, you learn things, like as a mind.
Yeah.
Because you got smacked or you hurt something, and now you're like, I'm not going to do that anymore. But we have a lot of students that are so sheltered. They've grown up on an iPad, and they have no world experience. And so, since they didn't get that force, the intelligence is missing.
And there's the misconception that because they grew up on an iPad and they had access to all of this, that they must have knowledge.
Yeah, and they don't.
And
No.
They're working an iPad. That doesn't teach them anything. They're not learning through osmosis. You can't just put them on an iPad and expect them to have a concept of themselves in the world by osmosis with no guidance. Giving
Yes.
a 3-year-old your iPhone to play with does not build their emotional intelligence.
No, it actually makes them crazy if you try to take it away from them. They're like completely addicted. I've seen videos of this where if you try to take an iPad away from a 3-year-old, they will lose their minds.
Because it's like immediate gratification. Everything is vibrating. Everything is
Yes.
sparkly. Everything is making a noise.
Yes.
And our kids aren't allowed to get bored anymore.
Yeah.
I remember being bored. I remember telling my mother I was bored. She'd be like, go outside. Go find something to do.
Oh,
and
no.
Students now, it's like, I'm bored. Well, find something to do.
Yeah, surf around.
Surf around. Do
How
something.
scary is that you're allowed to surf around? Yeah, and you were lucky because my mom was like, you're bored? I got these 16 chores. Get busy. Right? Like, here's the stuff you got to do. And so we never said we were bored. We always figured out what to do.
Right.
Because if we ever said that or we were caught idly standing by, we were, go weed that row in the garden. Go do this, go do that. Yeah, I hate to be one of those people that is like talking about what it was like when we were young, because how boring is that for other people? But I think it's an important distinction only because we're not built in education for what you started with, which is the arts have to be included, the humanities have to be included, because we literally have population now that isn't coming with the same background.
Exactly.
So we almost like human boot camp, right? Like they're coming to us as little barbarians fresh from the jungle. Like they're like, "Arr," you know, and then we have to say, hey, you know what? When the teacher's talking, you should be sitting down, watching and listening. That's the thing, and not necessarily they can't deal with it because they're so here in the screen.
Right.
They're like, why is your human mouth talking to me? Why are you standing there? I don't get it.
One of the things that we started doing with the arts and the STEAM is realizing that, just to use the quote, students can't be what they can't see and they can't love what they don't actually experience. And we needed to take the screens away from them and put them back with the people. So we've been doing STEAM expeditions. It's kind of like a field trip with a purpose.
Oh, wow.
We get to interview and work with the partners. They develop whole lessons. Our kids get to go experience the world out from behind the screen. Seeing a museum online is great. Going to a museum
Is even more fun.
is even better. And it's not even about the fun, it's about that's something that we've replaced with 360 views. But that's wonderful. But they have no experience of the actual thing. They have no humanities behind it. They haven't touched it, felt it, really interacted with it. So when they have this appreciation of that humanities, of that art, then it means so much more than when they get to then go see the Louvre online.
Yes.
Because they've seen the Frist here in Nashville, and now they're seeing
an equivalency.
Sistine Chapel online, and they can better have a focus in it. It's no longer flat. It becomes something to them.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we're not getting out of technology. Students aren't having the enriching exposure because they don't have the humanity to associate with it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. And I think that we have a whole field of educators and education itself that thinks its job, and I hope this changes with legislation sometime soon. The job is the core.
Oh, the core 4.
Yeah, and then maybe some electives.
Reading, math.
Yeah, so that's it, right? This is our job. And that was the job 250 years ago and the only job. And then we started to have electives, and we've got back and forth with electives. Now we have more like workforce and elective and that kind of stuff. But what I'm the most interested in is that there's going to be a very concerted need to balance AI. By an increase in understanding the humanities. Like I think actually almost our entire job is going to be that. Because we reach the point where you can just ask your phone or the air, like from whatever room you're in, some machine is listening in.
Siri.
Yeah, hey Siri, like what's 8 times 10? Like blah, blah, blah. Like you don't need to know math. Like why would you need to know anything, right? Literally. Like, could you write me an essay on, blah, blah, blah. And then it just does that. So literally we're at a point now where
thinking is not required to get answers quite a lot of the times.
yes, but a different kind of thinking.
Yeah.
A thinking of complexity where you're drawing together sort of a multiplicity, so the dimension of the real world, and posing that to the machine in order to get an answer that has complexity to it.
So you're saying you have to learn how to ask the right question.
Yes.
Asking more complex, in-depth questions that have multiple parts. Not just what is 8 times 6, but what is
If
it
I
in the
do
grand
this,
scheme
then
of
what?
things.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
But that's the whole purpose of it. That should be the whole purpose of education, is teaching kids how to question in the first place.
Yes.
And if they learn how to ask a question and how to question, then when they work with AI in any form, they'll be able to ask it the right questions to get
True results.
results and worthwhile results.
And they will fit the future.
We hope.
They'll be able to be employable. In the future,
Absolutely.
we hope. And I think that's a big thing. And I think it's right now. And yet we're built. I mean, the manufacturing age production line schooling structure. Mm-hmm. The people that built it, there's manufacturers from back in the day that are like, I don't want to teach them how to think.
I need them to put this thing together.
Yes, I just need them to follow orders. So we're built for that.
Oh yeah.
We're not built for this new reality.
I think.
Yeah, barreling down the tracks at us. So I love the fact that you included arts in
Absolutely.
STEAM. But I know probably you personally are facing an uphill battle on a daily basis. All people in schools are.
Yeah.
Because you're living in a structure that's built for an earlier age. So I equate it to like your Kmart in an age of Amazon, or your taxi cabs in an age of Uber. And how are you dealing with that? I mean, you probably have wins, and then you have like abysmal, sad moments. You can share whichever one you want to share, or your viewpoint.
So, I'll be honest, yes, we have abysmally sad moments. The abysmally sad moments are teachers not understanding that in a lot of ways they're already doing the right things. What they're not doing is making those connections apparent to their students and making those connections apparent to each other. Like, I can walk into a classroom and I can see that you're encompassing so many things, you're doing so many things well, and you think you're doing awful because we're grading you based on a 250-year-old structure of are you doing these things, but here you are innovating, you're outside the box, you think you're doing all of these things poorly, and the only thing that we need you to do is make the kids aware of what you're saying, make them aware of what you're doing, because you're making these connections, but they're not seeing them, because we don't need to teach them 8 plus 8. We need to teach them how math intersects with technology, how ELA and being able to ask questions and be a reader and understand how to pick something apart goes with that tech. We're not making those connections. And abysmally, the people in charge of making the decisions,
they're not thinking about this stuff. They're old people. I'm just gonna say it. A lot of them are old people, and they're not looking at the real world. They don't see it.
It's not even the real world. I like to say that I love what Steve Jobs did with that iPad. I do.
Yeah.
I hate what Steve Jobs did with that iPad.
Yeah.
The difference between being technologically literate and able to use technology are two completely different worlds.
Yes, I agree. And it's a sad agreement.
It is a sad agreement, but that's where we think that we are doing a good job when we give a student a computer and we've taught them how to make a PowerPoint. Therefore, they are technologically literate, but they can use tech.
Yeah, they can't understand what they're doing.
They don't know how to make that intuitive leap, that intuitive step, and that's the abysmal part of walking into anywhere, talking to adults or talking to kids, that they're not able to make the intuitive leaps that we need them to make for the next age. Like, our doctors are not going to be using clipboards, they're going to be using tablets, they're going to be using AR, they're going to be using VR, they're going to be looking at your body in a whole other way. and it is not Pokemon Go.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a really interesting conversation. I want to give you an opportunity to do what you did a little while ago, and you were real positive about what teachers are doing right. And I wish every executive, anybody in education would start doing more of that, because there's a lot of brightness.
There is.
And I believe that the future is balanced human and technology. And to the degree that you can be human efficiently and more human, less catering to the machine, typing in reports, we're on the right track. So what final sort of positivity would you leave?
Can you be more definitive? Because I can leave a lot.
Pick your favorite. If you were to just sort of like, you're anybody out there, like, say something positive about, like, there's so much going wrong with schools right now, losing kids to homeschooling, like massive increase in charters. We're in an old traditional model and it's not working anymore, but still yet.
Can I be very personal about it?
Yes.
So I'm a graduate of Metro Nashville Public Schools, self-contained special education program. And I like to tell teachers when they think that they're not making a difference, that they have me in their classroom every day. And you are, because I could not have done it without having that teacher. They can do it. And they can make those connections. I had a teacher in the 90s make them for me. So they are doing the right thing. I don't care what their evaluation says. Every day, there is someone in that room they make a difference to, aside from technology at all. Every day, someone in that room they have made a difference to. They have saved someone's life every day they walk into that classroom.
Just with recognition there's another human on the scene.
Just with recognition that they are human. You walk into a classroom, you regard your students as human. One of those kids did not want to wake up this morning, and now they're awake and they're happy they did it.
I love that. Okay. All right. Let's end there. We solved the world's problems.
Oh, yeah.